want to let you know from the beginning, this is not a relaxing or sleepy kind of video. Unless, of course, just the sound of my voice is relaxing, in which case, nighty-night. So, let's get this straight, right from the start. I am crazy. Not quirky cute, not interestingly peculiar. No, I'm talking bat guano crazy. Or maybe I'm cursed. Maybe my mom pissed off someone who dabbled in the dark arts, and I was born well and truly screwed. Maybe I brought this on myself, all my crack stepping, black cat path crossing, mirror breaking ways finally caught up with me. Sometimes I wonder if there's an actual, literal pair of angels in my head. An angel of light and wonder and love, and his bastard mirror twin. Now, you have been well and truly disclaimed. You have been cautioned, warned, and intrigued. And so it begins. See, I can't have a single pure thought ever. I can't be kind and generous without having simultaneously a thought that is cynical and petty. And that would be okay, really. I mean, it would be twisted and dark and demented, but I could live with it if it weren't for the fact that I can't have a carnal, devious, demented thought without having some twinge of conscience or a pang of guilt. I can't warn you about the content of this video without also trying to entice you to click play. I can't hear about the misfortune of a loved one without thinking, if only briefly, how could this benefit me? And then, of course, feeling like the lowest kind of wretch. I can't confess my guilt without indulging in a little bit of bragging about my shortcomings. With that warning and titillating teaser, I will briefly recount one of my greatest moments. A moment that I managed to make tawdry and cheap. This was about 2 years ago. It was maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, and I stopped at a convenience store to get a Diet Coke and some Cheetos. You know, the breakfast of champions. As I walked into the store, I immediately noticed a thin, attractive blonde girl, maybe 22 years old, if that. She was wearing a tight shirt, short jean cutoffs, and high heels. She clearly had not slept the night before, or maybe she just woke up from a drunken blackout. I don't know. But either way, she looked pretty rough. This girl was asking the cashier if she could use their phone, as she didn't have a cell phone with her and no money on her. Behind this girl were two tall, mangy-looking dudes who were just staring lasers through this girl. You might say they were chatting her up, but it was very impolite and slightly aggressive. All this I took in within 5 seconds of walking into the store. It was also pretty clear that these guys were drunk or stoned, or otherwise just high as hell. I continued into the store, grabbed my soda and snacks, and I checked out with a second cashier who had just opened up. The girl was still trying to convince the clerk to let her use the phone, and the guys didn't seem in a hurry to check out. So after making my purchase, I walked out to my car, opened my door, and stopped. I thought to myself, this whole scene just feels wrong. So I shut my car door and I started back to the store. My thought was, well, I'll just go back in, kind of mosey around, keep an eye on the situation. As I opened the door, the girl is walking out, and our eyes meet, and she looks afraid. And without any thought or premeditation, I ask, "Do you need a ride?" And she nodded, so I said, "Come on." We get into my car, and as we do so, those two guys walk out of the store looking around, looking for the girl. They look at me, they look at her getting into the car, and they continue to look as we pull out of the parking lot. In the car, Casey, at least that's what she called herself, thanked me for the ride, as she had been pretty freaked out by those two guys. And that is how the story ends. A for real, true life, feel-good story that you wouldn't believe if you saw in a movie. Well, that is how the story could have ended. It is how the story should have ended. However, the way the story really ended is that as I drove her home, we shared a little small talk, and I learned, unsurprisingly, that she was a topless dancer at a local strip club. And during that 15-minute ride home, I became more aware of how cute she was and how little she was wearing. And as I drove her home, and as I basked in her gratitude for my help and for the fact that nice guys still existed in the world, I found myself wondering just how far her gratitude could extend, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And then I felt like a total dirtbag. I drove her home, not saying much else, embarrassed and ashamed over my thoughts that had went unsaid. So I reached her destination and I dropped her off. My whole drive home I spent scourging myself for contemplating, if only for a few moments, the thought that I might benefit from this girl's misfortune. I even found myself regretting getting involved and doing the right thing, because somehow, without saying a word, I had made it something wrong. You know, I bet the jerks in the store who had been harassing this girl didn't feel bad. And I bet that anybody else who would have stopped to intervene and give this person a ride home would have been able to drive to their home afterwards feeling proud, cool. Not me. Never fully sinalicious or sanctified. Never black or white. My thoughts are always muddied, gray, impure.